I got to get a drink because that's only our first video, Ken.
Yeah, well, I have to sign out. Are you?
Oh, we're not out yet?
No.
Oh, we're still on the air?
Yeah.
Okay.
Memorex.
Oh, I said, is it live or Memorex?
Memorex.
And I said, did you get that? Did you understand that?
No. What's live from Memorex?
It's not live from New York. It's Saturday night. It's not live from. It's live. Is it live or is it Memorex?
That Memorex was on the old cassette tapes.
That's how long ago we're going back.
Yeah.
Right. It's even in my faded memory.
So what was Memorex was the cassette tape?
Yeah, so the whole thing, it was so good when you listened to it. When you heard it, you were like, hey, is that live? Is that actually happening in real life right now, like we're talking? Or is it on this Memorex tape? That's how good Memorex was. I think that might have been their slogan.
This is like our Memorex tape.
It might have... Okay.
We're live.
What video are we doing? Is this Classics with Dad?
No, we're doing the lit first.
Oh, we're doing the controversy? Oh, okay. I got to reorient my mind. Okay.
Hey y'all, welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I am doing Lit with Controversy, my dad's polarizing picks.
Wait a minute. You just made that sound like it was my I made you jump.
These are.
I thought we agreed they were polarized.
Yeah, but these were your picks originally. Lit with Controversy, polarizing picks.
Yeah. Okay.
Together.
Yeah, together.
Combined decision. First up, Name of the Wind by Patrick Rothfuss. I'm going to read the Goodreads premise for this because this book is really hard to kind of summarize. Yeah? So, stand by. Told in Quoth's own voice, this is the tale of the magically gifted young man who grows to be the most notorious wizard his world has ever seen. The intimate narrative of his childhood in a troupe of traveling players, his years spent as a near-feral orphan in a crime-ridden city, his daringly brazen yet successful bid to enter a legendary school of magic, and his life as a fugitive after the murder of a king form a gripping coming-of-age story unrivaled in recent literature. It's a high-action story written with a poet's hand. The Name of the Wind is a masterpiece that will transport readers into the body and mind of a wizard. Now, I will say what I loved the most about this story is that it does feel like it's written by a poet's hand. I mean, that was one of the reasons why I gave it 5 stars.
Right.
Now we're going to talk about the Dad's opinions.
Well, the thing about this book, many people would say not only is it their favorite book of all fantasy book, it's their favorite book of all time, and some would say it's the greatest book, let alone fantasy book, written in the 21st century. Polarizing book in this sense that if you go on Goodreads or something like that, you'll either have all 5 stars or some will put 1 star.
It was mostly all 5 stars when we checked.
So you've got this guy named Quoth. He's almost running from his past life. You don't know what that past life is. It's how it opens, the Waystone Inn. I really like the atmosphere of the way the book opened. And the thing about it is there's a guy named Chronicler. He's the most famous historian. He tells people's tales. He's a writer. And he's been looking for this famous guy named Quoth, and he tracks him down at the Waystone Inn, and Quoth is trying to run from his former life. And it came to a point where he decided he would tell his story, the story of his life. Now, Rothfuss set this whole thing up when he wrote it. We know it is supposed to be 3 books. That's not a story for a different day. We're going to get to it in a minute. But we're talking about the first book, and the framework of this... Book 1. The framework of this whole story is Quoth, the bartender now, he owns this inn. He's hiding from his past life. He's going to tell Chronicler his story. Day 1, he's going to do it over a 3-day period. Day 1 is book 1, which is Name of the Wind.
Mm-hmm.
Day 2 is book 2, which is
The Wise Man's Fear.
The Wise Man's Fear. And then Day 3 is book 3, which is scheduled to be...
Which there's no hope for. We will never get it. It's been like 14, 15 years.
I like the framework. I like telling a tale within a tale. That is a story within a story. I like the way it's set up. But for me, I'm in the middle. If you're doing a tier list, most people love it. It's S, superior. Those who would put it in
S
E.
grade for superior, y'all.
I would probably put it in the middle
Yeah.
because there are things I really liked about the book, but I think it was too big.
Let's talk about things we agree on.
There's a little bit. Well,
we do agree.
We
on
agree
that.
on that.
Yeah.
We agree on the good parts. Anything that I like would be a good part, so that's good. But no, I think the people who don't like it, their primary reason you like it is quotes.
All right, let me talk about the reasons I love it.
Yeah.
The writing style, I love the main character.
Everyone likes the writing, even the people who don't admit it's really a really good writing.
And I love the actual setting of the school.
Yeah.
I love the academia part of it and his story in the school, like following him and his trials and his perseverance in the in this magical school setting. And it's not magical in terms of like Hogwarts. Another thing I liked is the sense that the title has its purpose. Like, why it is called
You'll
The
find
Name
out.
of the Wind.
That's correct.
Yeah, and I love that. What we agree on is the length. It could have been shortened. For me, I also read the physical format. I did not listen to any audio of this.
Yeah, I did the audio.
Yeah, so and we'll talk
And it
about
was
that.
a good narrator.
Well, so you liked the narrator.
Yeah, they had a couple different ones, but the one I said he was solid. He was pretty good.
Yeah, so we had a different experience in that. And so for me, when I read a physical book, I mean, it's my narration. It's me doing it. And so I didn't mind the parts that could have been shortened for this. Like, to me, it was just like we're elongating the story. There was no it's not long in the sense where it's reiterating information that we've already gotten. It's going more into a certain part that could have been just
more of
like
a subplot or
retracted
something like that.
a little bit. Yeah. Like a lot of books that you hear me just rant about that I complain that should have been shortened down, I usually it's dragging or slogging. And for me, this didn't feel like a drag or a slog.
When I approached it this time, I was ready for that and really went into it embracing it. Started out good. I just thought it went down to sea level. And it's not...
Why?
On audio this,
Why? For you?
For me, remember, we're talking about teenagers here when we were going in the school, which was fine. But his love interest, if you want to call it that, when they're teenagers, I didn't want to... Is this written for teenagers? I don't think so, but a lot of adults love it. I didn't want to hang out in that teenage mindset for so long what it was. I was like, I wanted to get on with the story. But the ending, they'll find out about the Dracus. This thing ran for like 80 pages.
There's a scene with the creature called the Dracus, and that's his bit.
Yeah, but the thing is, the book ended, the very ending of the book, like the very last 3 pages and the last paragraph and the last sentence, it picked up and kind of almost hooked you into, hey, what's going to happen on day 2, which would be the second book. By the way, the side characters are good. They're good.
The side characters are great, actually.
Yeah, they're solid. This is good.
Yeah.
They really support the whole story. There's no question about that. Most of them. There's one, the love interest. I don't know. It depends on if you like love interest and you want to hang out with teenagers. I'm just saying.
Their age is like teenage. He is a teenager.
He's a teenager.
He is young, going into a university.
Because remember, this is day 1, and that's part of his story. By the way, this whole series is called the King Killer Chronicles. Hardly anyone talks about that. It's there, but it's Name of the Wind. But the point is this. At some point, a king is going to get killed.
Yeah.
And I'm not giving anything away because I don't even know it, but it's going to be Quoth. He was in the premise.
Yeah.
The whole point, you're telling his story.
And it's not even touched on in this. It's just
we're
not even there yet.
We're not even there yet. He's young.
Yeah.
He's teenager. And we're going to get into day 2 in Wise Man's Fear. And then if the third book were ever to be written, maybe that's where he killed the king or whatever. He becomes famous for all these things. Mm. One of the reasons the people who don't like the book, the main reason they say they don't like the book is because the main character, Quoth, they can't get on with him. He can't do anything wrong. Now, I don't have a problem with that. But when you have someone that's always, because he does mess up, he's young.
But he does do things wrong.
But he always gets out of them by his own ability. He can do things no one else can do.
But that's a part of his character arc. That's it's part of his endurance and perseverance. Like, he is special and unique.
That's a love. Because she loves the book, and most people No. That's what's polarizing. This one character, if you can't get on with the main character...
He's not like others.
I'm not arguing with
I relate to him. That's why.
That's
because
right.
I relate to his...
That's right.
When you are set apart from other people for X, Y, and Z reasons, it's not an arrogance. It's a fact.
It's a fact. And he says that. He's not arrogant about it.
No, it's literally
That's
a
correct.
fact. He has a unique and specialness
That's
to him
correct.
and an ability, and that is, so it's not like it's written where everything is convenient. No, he is literally,
he goes
through
Yeah.
it, okay, which is why I relate to him. And there is there are skills that he learns from within himself that's there. It's innately there, and he is going through these trials and tribulations that would break other people.
The thing is this, do you see that? About a minute of love for the main character. The people who love the book, right, love the main character. The people who don't, for the most part. I didn't have a problem with that, but I don't hate the book. I'm like middling. That's the polarizing part of it, I think.
Up next, The Secret History by Donna Tartt.
Oh, yeah!
This is something.
You want to start it off?
You want to start? This is considered a modern classic, okay? I listened to this on audiobook a while ago. I listened to this. I wanted to see what my opinion was on this because I love dark academia. And this, I don't know if this was the first dark academia. We didn't look into that.
How did you hear about the book?
Well,
Just a recommendation from somebody?
because it's a modern classic. Everyone talks.
I never heard of The Secret History, and believe it or not, there are people
Really?
today, you ring it up, they don't have a clue about this book. I think it was written 30 years ago, but it is a modern day classic, no question about it. I had never heard of it. The only reason I came to it is, there's that woman again, Donna Tartt, really as a genre.
So dark academia is basically a newer genre. I don't know how new it is basically a story that is set within a school, university, or academy setting. And it's usually, the dark part of it is usually because there's a murder mystery taking place in that type of setting, or it has a gothic feel to it, a gothic school setting. So, but there's the dark part of it is the gothic or paranormal, something paranormal's going on, or a murder mystery has taken place, maybe like a secret society, things like that. So I read this because it has inspired, it is like the inspiration for this dark academia genre.
I think it's actually what we would call the granddaddy or the grandmama. It's kind of the thing that got it all started.
Yeah, for this, you either love it or you hate it. And in the reviews that I looked at, it is that there really is no midline for this.
I picked this as polarizing just because of that. The way I came to the book was, if you saw our other video, I mentioned Donna Tartt. I was listening to an audiobook, True Grit, Great Western. Donna Tartt did the audio, didn't know who she was. I said, I like this narration. At the end, she gave about a 5 to 10 minute bio about who she is and why she loved True Grit. She listened to True Grit when she was younger, and that maybe was a catalyst to get her into writing. And I think Donna Tartt writes a book literally every 10 years.
Oh.
Let that sink in. She publishes a book every 10 years. This was 30 years ago, her first one. She came out with another 10 years later, another 10 years. I think another one's due up in 2024-25.
Like now.
I think it takes place in a New England setting, New England college. There is a professor in this college who's kind of set apart from the other professors for this reason. There's a clique. There's like 5 or 6 people.
Yeah.
They study ancient Rome, ancient Greece, studying the original languages, and they're in that mindset.
Yeah.
All right? And they are set apart from the rest of the school. In fact, the rest of the students see them as a clique, like no one can get, they take other classes, this is their major, and they're doing their own thing. You know, I was thinking about this. Why, I love, when I go into a book or a movie, why is the title entitled what it is titled? Mm-hmm. And then I forget about it until it shows up in the book somehow, either
the meaning
of it, why it is like Name of the Wind, but why is this called The Secret History? I don't know. Here's my guess. In this premise, there is an outsider, but now he is interested in joining this group. and he's accepted in, but they don't tell him everything. And this whole book is about you're following this group and this professor, and the professor doesn't know about everything that's going on in this group. And even within the group, and he comes into this, and I think it's entitled The Secret History because this group of students has a secret, and it has taken place in the past.
Okay.
They're keeping it a secret from the professor and this new kid.
Gotcha, yeah.
But he's really part of the group. And what happened in the past comes out. And one of the group, I won't go into all of it, his name is Bunny. Bunny is Bunny. And Bunny finds...
If you know, you know.
Bunny.
Bunny.
I loved this whole thing. Donna Tartt's writing is really good. It's like... But most of the people say Tartt's writing is like, the people don't like Name of the Wind will at least give Rothfuss the fact that he can write.
Yeah.
Donna Tartt can tell a story. She can write. For a lot of people, she's one of their top authors. But this was a bloated book. Here's the problem we both have with it.
We agree that we didn't like it.
Well, wait a minute now.
Oh, you did?
I really liked this book, yeah. Like the beginning of it. The beginning of it. Do you like anything about it? It was a school setting. You like school settings? No? Okay, Judge One, your cup of tea. All right. I really liked it. To the point of almost loving this book. Like, this is 4 to 5 stars. The way this thing started, bloated. It could have been, a lot of parts could have been cut out of the book. And then there's an ending. There is a stopping point. The whole book could have ended at this point. But what Donna Tartt decided to do was to include the aftermath of the slow spiraling out of control of this group and everything that happened, which I won't give it away. Could have been stopped, but the aftermath, the extra 20% of the book is just telling the aftermath story of what happened. So that's, I'm in the middle. Most people aren't. I'm in the middle on these because there's so much to really like about these books. But
I did not like this book at all. I didn't like the writing style. I thought it was very bloated. We agree that it is very bloated. It could have been shortened. I think it just, it slogged for me, and I wanted to be attached and like these characters, and I wasn't. And it's been a while since I've read this, okay? Bunny, he is not a likable character. But putting that aside for a second, he is a part of this group, and considering how long and bloated this book is, it is never clarified why they tolerate him. In the second, I don't know if it's the second half, but you start to understand why one person in particular, because he has this
don't give it away.
No, he has this relationship really with one person in the group particularly, right. And this guy shows up for him, bails him out of anything whenever he runs his mouth or whatever. But there is no clarification on why this group tolerates him, why this friend of his stays his friend and runs to his aid and like tolerates him. There is nothing to show for that until like the part of it where it's like okay, he has something on them at some point, but in the beginning,
well, they think
yeah, but
and that leads to what we would say is another incident, and it all goes out.
But at least at that point, you're like, well, it makes sense. Yeah. Why then? But beforehand, like the whole first half of the book, it's like, did he save this one guy's life at some point? And he feels like he owes him. He's his friend forever because there's a debt. But no. None of that, nothing happened. It's like it was a question mark, a huge question mark, because Bunny is a big part of this story. It's not like he's some side character and you're confused.
I can't wait. All right. If you're not sure about something like this, but you love ancient Greece, Rome, on the cover of one of the books, it's actually a figure of like a Greek statue. So that could be the hook to get you into this book, because there's good atmosphere that way. But
there is a book, a dark academia book, that I know that The Secret History inspired, and it is called The Maidens. And this is another polarizing book. Ironically enough, the polarizing, and on the cover, it is a picture of a statue. So I know, yeah. So, but ironically, it's another polarizing read with The Maidens, and I'll insert the graphic here with the author's name, because Alex something, I can't remember his full name. But he wrote another book, I believe it was the one before this, could have been the one after, either or. It's called The Silent Patient. Now, it's polarizing because usually with people it is said that you either like one or the other. You either love one and hate the other. You never love both of them, which is interesting to me. So I actually liked The Maidens. I liked the story for what it was. I took it for what it was. I liked the writing style. A lot of people didn't like the ending of that book. But The Silent Patient, I hated. So I'm in that group where I liked The Maidens and hated The Silent Patient. But I remember when The Maidens first came out, when it was first written years back, it was a big thing on BookTube, and it was a controversy on BookTube. There was a lot of people hating it. I'm not sure, maybe like other than one person I came across that said they liked it. Most people hated it. So, and they liked The Silent Patient, and I'm the opposite. Secret History has inspired a lot of dark academia stories. All right, up next is the Shakespeare controversy, which Dad will ramble about.
Did William Shakespeare write the plays and the sonnets that have the name on it? In other words, there's something called the Shakespeare authorship question. Did a guy who lived in Stratford-on-Avon in England in the 1600s, who we know as William Shakespeare, there's a guy named Will Shakespeare, but there's something called the authorship question. A lot of people are now questioning, did that guy, and I won't go into all the details, you can look it up on your own, go to YouTube and find this out. Did he really write that, or was he a front person? Shakespeare play company, he was an actor, but was he a front man for someone else who actually wrote? Maybe the 17th Earl of Oxford or somebody like this, who could not, in that society, it would have been beneath them to put their name on something like a play. But they loved to do it, and they needed a avocation, so to speak, and that's what they did. It wasn't just another person who wrote these plays, but numerous people had their fingers in the pie, so to speak, their pens in the pie. They were writing different parts of it. Years ago, a lot of people would say, of course, the man Will Shakespeare wrote all these things, but there's movement now as far as even those people, many of those would say, no, other people wrote parts of it.
I don't even understand how that even came about with this guy, because he came from nothing. So who was the guy who took his name and why? You got
to look into that.
This is a mystery. Like, this would be the greatest.
Yes. Let's put it this way. When you talk about mysteries,
like literature mystery, how would
this would, if we could ever find out who, and we have reasons to believe we know some of the names of the people. Notice I've just put myself kind of in that camp, that I definitely question whether this guy, Will Shakespeare, wrote any of them, part of them. I think there were more people in, but you make up your own mind. Go to YouTube, just put in Shakespeare authorship question. Make sure who you're listening to, which side they're coming from, and look at the evidence. It's just fascinating. So that's...
It's crazy to me. I had no idea this was a thing until you mentioned
I saw YouTube videos. You ever found out the...
Actually, yes.
It would be arguably the greatest literary discovery possibly ever.
All right, up next.
Is this our last one?
Yes, this is kind of an honorable mention. It's not a story or a book, but the controversy, I'm going to do kind of a controversial author, and that is Brandon Sanderson, Brando Sando. Let's talk about him.
It's not really controversial, but it's
polarizing. I'm going to say polarizing, not controversy, but this is more a polarizing author pick, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think it's true that way.
Yeah. So, and the reason I say that is because with, Brandon Sanderson, I don't know if there really is a midline with him. Like, people either love his writing or they don't. I think there's a fine line there. So far, I am not big on Brando Sando. I'm just not. I have tried Skyward, which is sci-fi, and I loved Skyward.
I like Skyward.
We both love Skyward, and I was like, maybe I'm going to get on with this. I think that was my first introduction to Brandon Sanderson, was Skyward. So I love the first book. I recommend that wholeheartedly. It was fantastic. And I read the
school setting. You're a school setting person.
That is a school setting, yeah. But it's the school setting. It is the action as well. The action.
It's good.
The flight scenes. Oh. Book 2, I had a favorite character in book 2. Something happened to this favorite character. I didn't like it. It didn't make any sense. And I was like, okay. And the book 2 changes. It is no longer the same setting or atmosphere.
I thought you said book 2 changes.
Book 2. Book 2 is Starsight.
Yeah. Okay.
And the feel changes because we're in a different place. She's going on to other things. Her adventure is changing. So I got through book 2 and I liked it. I did not like what happened to my new favorite character. And I got to book 3 and I didn't like it. I DNF'd the series. I didn't care anymore. I did not care. I didn't like where it was going, the writing. It was constantly changing. And the fact I'm bitter and jaded about what had happened to my favorite character. So, my next Brandon Sanderson that I tried was Mistborn, and I enjoyed it. I think I gave it 4 stars. Got to book 2 and I DNF'd it. I did not like the writing. Even in book 1, the writing was still iffy. I enjoyed more of what was happening, like the whole plot of the story, the magic system that we were exploring, and the characters. I wanted more of the characters, which is part of the reason I wasn't like meh about it. But I DNF'd book 2 and I'm not a fan. So those are my Brandon Sanderson experiences, and I can understand the writing style just really, and those are both YA as well, and I love YA. So my dad here tells me that I will like The Way of Kings. So that is on my possibilities of my last attempt at Brandon Sanderson. And it's a chunker. So, but you're telling me I will enjoy it because of everything I love in a story is apparently in this?
I think you will. That's correct. I had heard the name and listened to some audio of earlier books and YA. I was like, this is just, because it's just not for me. But then I don't know if that's when I read Skyward, liked it. But then I heard about Mistborn. And Mistborn is one of those recommendations that if you're getting back into fantasy or you're just entering into fantasy, this Mistborn series, Mistborn Era 1, there's Era 2, we're not talking about that. This is the original Mistborn trilogy. A really good introduction into fantasy, adult fantasy. It's YA, but it's an adult. It will get you into that. I would recommend this. I read it. I think I read it 5 or 7 years ago. I think it was 4-star for the entire series. I just reread The Final Empire, which is the first book, gave it 5 stars. The other 2 weren't as good as that in my opinion. I don't like some of the stuff. And I really like or love the other stuff. So Mistborn, the series for me is, I put it A. Final Empire, the first one, I put S. And then I read, that's Mistborn. Then he's writing his epic, and he's gotten better as a writer as he's gone on. It's called the Stormlight Archive series. It's going to be 10 books. He's already written, I think they're all chunkers, like 1,000 pages. And they have different point of views, different POVs, and one basic character. The Way of Kings is the first one.
Yeah.
5-star, super read. I read that and I was like, this is good. So I'm going to continue it. And I think his 5th book is just coming out.
It's Uptown.
It's an Uptown read.
It's Uptown.
Yeah. It's going to go down as one of the greatest fantasy series
And that's a
in
bold
history.
statement, in my opinion. And for such a bold statement, I need to see why.
The thing about it's polarizing, or he can be, some people can't come to admit, and I don't know why, that like you have authors that some of the things they've written you would put in S grade, superior, and others you would say wasn't my cup of tea, did not like it. But you had,
right.
but you can admit that.
Yeah.
But some people fall in love so much with Sanderson's writing, they can't admit, maybe even to themselves, that, hey, everything doesn't have to be superior or
Right.
even A grade. The guy is human,
Yeah.
and he writes things, in my opinion, that are going to be B, C, and D or something like that.
Yeah.
I think you're not just going to like, I think you're really going to like
Yeah.
The Way of Kings. Chunkers, Doorstoppers, 1,000 pages. But look, when you get into it, yeah. So anyway, that's our, what do we call this whole thing? Controversy? Polarizing pick?
Lit with controversy.
Lit with
polarizing picks. What I said. All right, y'all. Those are our combined choices. If you have any thoughts, opinions, please comment down below. I would love to know your thoughts and opinions and what you think, if you have read any of the ones that we have mentioned, or what you think about Brandon Sanderson. Are you in the camp of loving him, or on the meh, not big on his writing? Let me know. If you like this video, give me that thumbs up, and don't forget to smash that subscribe button down below so you don't miss out on any of my upcoming bookish content. And as always, happy reading, and I will see you in the next video. Cheers.